So today I want to talk about, basically it's a type of a flashback. Now, these flashbacks are a telepathic energy loop between you and somebody that you are or were close with. For today, I'm going to talk about it in the idea of a former romantic relationship. But to some degree, this is also applicable for anybody who suffers from flashbacks or abuse. I'll do a different video on that on a different day to explain that a little bit deeper. But today we're going to talk about romantic breakups, but you end up replaying these conversations in your head. Now, let me give you the example. Let's say you're doing something mundane, okay? Doesn't matter what it is. You're vacuuming, you're doing the dishes, you're zoning out on something, but you're not actively, working, whatever. And all of a sudden, the person in question pops up in your head, and you are replaying a previous conversation with them, or you end up having like in your head, you start having a conversation that starts to take on a life of its own, and it gets really intense. And a lot of times you're going, why am I going over this? I feel like, I resolved that, or I feel like I moved past that. And yet it's right there in your head over and over again. And so what's happening is it's called a telepathic energy loop. At least that's what I call it. Now, to understand how this is working, you have to understand basics of chakras. So the basics of the chakras, right, is that we have energy centers kind of that go through our avatar that are all tied to our consciousness. Now, our consciousness is our soul, it's our spirit, it's our aura, however you want to phrase that, but that's what it is. And when you have a sexual relationship with somebody, then your chakras go in alignment with all of their chakras, okay? And so what happens is you have this energy that mixes between your energy consciousness and their energy consciousness. Now, let's say you break up with them, right? And you thought you were done with them. But let me explain something. You basically physically walked away, but from an energy perspective, you basically walked out of a swamp and never rinsed off their energy. So you still have their energy and that residue still clinging to you. And so when something pops up like that and you were not actively thinking of that person, right? Wasn't like you just saw them and then 15 minutes later you're replaying something. This is where, it's literally just kind of out of the blue. So what happens is the other person is having a thought of you, and they are triggering the energy connection to re-engage into your energy field. And when that happens, that's when it goes to your mind. You grip on that and start thinking. Now what happens is, because you gripped on the idea, if you don't stop it right then and there, then you create a telepathic energy loop back to them. And now you're in this cycle, right? So now they start feeling more intense and they're all like, and then it comes back to you and you start feeling more intense and you're getting a little irritated and agitated. Like, this is terrible. So that's what's happening. Now, how do you stop that? How do you get out of that cycle? Well, there's a couple things. So first of all, you basically made a type of a contract with this person. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to verbally undo your contract. And so you can, say into the ether that, I'm severing my contract with this person. I've learned my lessons and I'm done with them, and I'm done with this. And I no longer give permission for that energy to penetrate to me. The other thing is you can do daily energy clearings, which is all about releasing the energy and kind of shaking it off or getting it out of your energy field. I personally like to do one where I say, that I'm releasing this energy and I'm returning it back to the original sender because it belongs to them. It doesn't belong to me. I don't want it anymore. And I want to return my energy that's in their field back to me because that's my energy. So that's some of the verbal ways that you can kind of work through the basics as far as the contract. Now, when this actually happens though, the first thing that's key is to recognize it's happening. Like you have to recognize, oh, wait, I know what's going on. This isn't me. This is the other person. So in that scenario, what you do is you immediately do some sort of a trigger word that makes sense to you. So something like stop, freeze. For me, I basically in the beginning would, I would envision that this is like a movie clip in my mind because that's kind of what it feels like. And I immediately kind of have this visual in my mind where I'm putting up my hand where it's like stop. And so I'm stopping the movie reel. I'm stopping the frame. And then from there, stop, freeze, any of those things work. And then from there, it's very much clear, release, delete. I know some people who, they'll go delete to try to delete the image or the memory or whatever that's in their head. So, it goes away. Whatever works for you, that's what you want to use. Whatever words naturally come to you in that manner. And then after you release that, right? Another one is clear. You immediately refocus into a different thought. Doesn't matter what your thought is. It could be, okay, what are my next tasks I have to do? Or, oh, you think of your kids, or you think of something happy, or, you think of something you got to do. Whatever it is, you immediately switch your mind intentionally to a different kind of thought. And the whole idea is, so that's one thing. The other thing is, when it pops up, you can also be, no, I'm not doing this, and it's a stop, delete, clear, refocus, to a new thing, and it'll go away. What will happen is the more times that these things like pop up that you're like, stop, clear, release, and switch, they'll stop happening. Like they literally will start to go away and not happen. And you'll find yourself having a lot more peace and not getting so worked up. You'll also find that instead of spending 15 minutes pissed off or 30 minutes pissed off, that you had 30 seconds of, and then it's done. And so over time, that starts to go away because you are actively severing the energy that's trying to loop into you every time. And so you're starting to basically rinse off from your swamp of your significant or your ex-significant other so that the energy goes away. The cool thing about doing this is it's a good way for you to take charge of how this relationship now is to be. I used to do this with my ex, and I tell you what, I still have to interact with him because of my son, but ever since I started doing that, our interactions are much better. And we have much fewer negative interactions when we do, which was also part of the goal, because I didn't want to spend my time, in this negative space. I didn't want to spend it where I was getting angry and frustrated and upset. And it definitely, because it doesn't make you feel good, right? You start to feel sick, and then you start to feel like you're always in a Debbie Downer kind of mood. So doing these kinds of things where you recognize what's happening, you recognize, what you need to do, which is the stop, clear, freeze, delete. And then, it's a reset, right? It's a reset into your next thought. So if you can do all of these things, then you will find that these issues that are popping in your head, it's a type of a flashback, but it's not really a flashback. It's a flashback only in the sense that it's tied to something that you previously had with somebody, but it's happening real time. The other person's having it real time. And, when you feed off of that energy loop, even if they started it, then they start to get that negative energy back. And then they start to get all like on their side. And then negative energy is coming back to you. And now it's getting you worked up. And then you're sending it back. And at some point, right, somebody has to walk away, or there's something that has to interrupt the energy loop on one of the sides in order for that connection to kind of die out. So this is a way to kind of unplug that electrical cord between the two of you so that you can find a little peace and you can walk away in a happier place. So I hope that helps. As a reminder, recognize what's happening when it happens. Use your trigger words that help you clear it out, clear, freeze, delete, stop, whatever that is to you. And then immediately rethink into a brand new thought that is a happier thought, something that you would prefer to do. Focus on that, and that way you'll get rid of it. I hope this helps. And if you like more of my stuff, make sure to follow my channel. I'll be posting more videos. And additionally, if you want any help with life coaching, you can, either do my Reset Your Mindset course, or you can go to my website for any one-on-one coaching, which is talktopallas.com. Thanks. Have a great day.